for joining us this morning. And your feedback is really, really valuable as we continue to, just kind of formulate the best way to go about this. Okay, okay, here we go. I'm recording. Perfect. Okay.
So, hi everyone. Thanks for inviting me on your call. Sorry, my hair is wet. No makeup on, just got out of the shower. But yeah, I oversee all of our fitness launches and all of our nutrition programs. So TB, Portion Fix, and now Gut Protocol. But yeah, that's Wendy. Thank you for setting that up so quickly. We do surveys, but nothing replaces just hearing directly from you guys. So just curious what you think about the current structure of the TSP, the Total Solution Pack, and what is your message when you're selling it to like a brand new customer, or how are you training your downlines to present the Total Solution Pack? Anyone can start. And I can sort of see the chat, but I'd rather talk because it's hard for me to read the chat when we're talking.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you guys would just unmute yourself, and please, please, please be totally transparent, because if we're going to make changes to the Total Solution Pack with nutrition, et cetera, this is like your feedback matters. And that's why I asked all of you to be on the call today. So please unmute yourself, speak up. This is not the time to be quiet, because I know all of you are not quiet. I know you're not. You've got things to say. So please, someone go first.
I can go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you can go, Julie. You're good.
So I was one of the coaches that got the survey, and I think once you know what the Total Solution Pack is, I don't think it's a difficult thing to sell at all. I think we offer everything that people need in one package. I think, especially as a new coach, it is so confusing and so overwhelming. Like if you go into the back office right now and you click on the link to make a product with your coach ID, if you click on Total Solutions, over 200 pop up. There is no reason coaches should look at 200, because then they're like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what link to send. And it completely overwhelms them and they shut down. And I don't blame them at all. So I think that needs to be so simplified.
When they go into the coach back office, they're seeing all these hundreds of options. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a link in the back office to make the product links with your coach ID attached. If you type in Total Solution Pack, over 200 of them pop up and they shut down. And so I think I think there needs to be a Total Solution Pack. I think the upgrade packs, I don't even know what they're called now. I feel like everything changes names all the time. If somebody has BOD, I feel like that's confusing because they don't really know if like the BOD continues or if it's just like a $20 discount. Like that's kind of confusing for them as well. But I feel like just initially they're overwhelmed because there are so many options.
I think one of the things that has helped myself and the coaches within my downline is I just try and simplify it. When you go to the shop or you're creating a cart for somebody, there are a lot of options, but I'm usually only promoting like 4 different options at a time, because within those options, they are truly getting everything that they need, right? When you go to a 21-day fix Total Solution Pack bundle, or job one's kind of different because you get the bands, but anywhere where you don't get the bands in it, it can get kind of confusing because you're like, well, do I need to do, that's a question my coaches ask is like, well, if someone's doing 21-day fix, do they need the 21-day fix Total Solution Pack, or shouldn't I just do, so I feel like that isn't really necessary with some of the other products that they have equipment within them, or the booklet or a different tracker. Yes, I think that that's great. But I think the biggest thing with Total Solution Packs is continuing to talk about how it is an investment in your health and not an expense. I feel like for what we offer the Total Solution Pack, cost wise, the materials that are involved with it, like it is such an insane discount. I don't understand why people have a problem converting, a conversation to someone that's buying it, because I talk to people, and I live in Charlotte, so we have a lot of bougie gyms around here. Pure Barre, Cycle Bar, Rock Box, 9 Rounds, all the different things. And a lot of those are just workouts for over $150 a month, like personal trainer, right? So I know it's different, but that's just the biggest thing I think for us to do and continue to do for ourselves and for our downline, is to make sure that when we are talking about it in conversations, it's explaining this is an investment in your health. It's not to be seen as this massive cost, right? Because what we have actually should be priced a lot higher.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I can share a little bit kind of off of what Haley said about like the value of it. And I think it's really big on just like, I agree with what everyone said about how like, I don't think it's so much like so hard to sell the total solution because of the value. I just had this conversation with a bunch of my coaches the other day. I had a coach who was like, hey, like, is there any extra sales that are happening right now besides 4-week gut protocol? I'm like, hold up. I'm like, $160 challenge pack is amazing. So I had to talk with my coaches about the mindset of how like it's not a $160 package, it's like a $400 package or $500 package. That's like, I look at it as exactly, I paid $160 for one DVD program. I look at it as like, this is a $400 package you're getting for $160 to $180. So I utilize and give my team, we use a lot of graphics, but like very simple. Like I have a graphic and I think I've shared it with like the chat before, where it's similar to the ones we have in the back office, but like broken down a little bit differently, to where on the left it shows the package and then it has arrows to what everything costs separate, right? So like it shows 130 for Shakeology, 99 for bod, all that stuff. And then the other side shows the same package, but then says $160. So it says like what it would cost if everything was separate versus this. So when I present it to people, and this is what I try to teach my team, I show them this graphic and I say, you're going to get everything on the left, but it's going to be 160. So I think it's almost like letting people know it's a huge package for less money versus people feeling like it's just $160 or $180, right? I think the real struggle comes after that with retention, because people struggle paying $100 to $130 for Shakeology when they just got a pack for $160. I think that's a whole nother conversation. But in terms of that, I think just really making sure people know the value of the challenge pack. And I agree with what Haley said of like, I typically honestly really only sell and focus on 1 to 2 programs of packages at a time. Like right now, like you're either getting job 1 or you're getting the gut protocol pack. Like that's it. I don't really go beyond that unless someone needs like a step or, you know, something like that. I will say, I wish we still had Daily Sunshine Total Solution packs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because some people, no matter what way you cut it, I love the Go and Glow. I love all the packages, but sometimes they just don't want any of it. And Daily Sunshine, I don't know about you guys, for me was always kind of my go-to of like, all right, well, let's talk about your kids. And then they'd invest in their kids. And now since that's gone, I'm kind of struggling with that. But that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, very helpful.
I think
I like that idea. I like that idea, Larissa, of actually calling it like a kids pack, you know, maybe even just focus it on that. I don't come up with some interesting name or something. But one other thing too is I listened to the info on the Fire and Flow that you're coming back with completion packs, which is great. So I think having that available. So the other thing I'm thinking about is a lot of times people say, well, I want this in the pack, but I don't want that in the pack. And I know they sort of could make their own, but how can we, I don't know, maybe something with different products, like how can we incorporate like the beach bars? Because if they like beach bars and they keep ordering beach bars, that's going to help our volume. So let's think about some of the other supplements that we can combine, like you did with the Go and Glow package. And things that we're not really highlighting. We're only highlighting a few products in the total solution packs. Let's think about another pack with, you know, some of the other most popular program products.
It's tricky because then you run into the problem that Julie was talking about. Like if we make all these different configurations with every possible combination of supplements, then it does start to feel overwhelming to people. So,
well, I don't think necessarily every possible combination, but with the most which I think you're doing with the Go and Glow, but with the most popular, or something that would bring residual income to us the following month that's not $129 that someone maybe would pay for like the bevy or a box of bars. Buy our bars, support us rather than like Amazon or GNC or something. Or
so something that doesn't necessarily lead into $130 continuity. It feels like a lot of money to people. Like, okay.
I feel like with something like that too, we could have like one link that is the the initial total solutions pack, and then you could choose what you add to it. But when we go in the back office, we don't need a link for all of those options. It can be something that people do as they're going through the purchasing program or purchasing process. I would also love to see, I ran into this last month with the same customer twice. She spent probably $600 on everything because she kept buying things separately. And I kept telling her, like, let me know first because I can get you this total solutions package that would put it all together. So it would be great if we could have a pop-up like, are you sure you want to get this? Like, you can get the exact same thing here for a fraction of the price. And she went through and she got BOD, she got 4-week gut protocol, she got Shakeology, and then like something else in 2 purchases and spent way more. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely more commission and volume, but I felt bad because I was like, you could save so much money, but nothing on her end when purchasing let her know that.
Yeah, I've never heard that. That's a good point. I'll bring that up. Morgan, you look like you were gonna say something a minute ago.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I feel like corporate can maybe do a better job on just sharing more basic sales trainings. Like, yes, we are not salespeople, we're storytellers, but at the end of the day, you need to have basic sales techniques to be able to understand how to walk people through selling a challenge pack. And yes, as coaches, we can provide that for our teams, but why does corporate not help us with that? I know I came from a sales corporate background, and anytime we had a new product launch, we would get like sales one pagers where it gave like all the values of why this is the pack that people should go through. And it literally gave me a one pager of like how I can sell, my customer on this new product. And I just feel like that's something that we're missing. And maybe it's because we don't want to come across as salespeople, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to say it, kind of what we are, so
we try to do that with the product training guide. Do you know that ETG, we try to make it a one pager, it ends up being like 3 pages. But
right.
is there too much information on that? Or is it too like factual versus here's how you talk to someone?
I think people need
know
to talk, but here's how to talk. I mean, people just don't know how to close the deal. That's what I'm noticing for my coaches is they can get people interested, but they don't know how to seal the deal. And that's a huge thing that maybe corporate could, do more best of the best trainings on sales techniques and stuff like that. That's just what I'm finding on my team is people don't know how they know how to get to a certain point of the conversation, but when it comes to really like locking it in, it seems like a lot of people just don't, unless you have the natural ability, it's difficult.
Hey,
but also another thing.
Can we pause there? Wendy, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I handle the launches, right? But it seems like that's evergreen training. Like we don't need to reinvent that for every single product launch. I mean, we could put a document in the back office that says, here's how you sell fire and flow, but it seems like that's general TSP training. And Wendy, do we have anything like that?
No, we don't. And we've been talking about that. Like to your point, Diane, you provide a lot of information from the marketing perspective, but there's no selling, like here's how to sell it. And I come from similar to Morgan. I came from Frito-Lay and Coca-Cola. We had, here's your 7-step sales process, right? Within every single launch. It was very basic, very simple, 1 page, very tactically for those newer coaches. Here's how you sell it versus the marketing. And not that I don't want to say it's a lot of information for that newer coach to digest, not just to retain that information and absorb, but actually how do you go to your point, Morgan, how do you sell this? So we don't have anything like that, Diane, right now.
But why not? Like, it just seems like all we talk about in corporate is why aren't more coaches selling? So why don't we do this? Like, it just seems so obvious.
I feel like there's a stigma in Beachbody of like, we're storytellers, not salespeople. Yeah. And so you don't want to come across like we're salespeople, but like I said, that's what we are. So it's like you kind of need to get over that. And yes, we lead with sharing value through sharing our stories, but we just need more tactical sales training. So
but isn't that like, Wendy, I guess I'm talking to you again. We can take this offline, but like the 4 behaviors, like, isn't that that's not it, no?
No,
feel like
my
even
years is not, it's just like, here's what you do every day to run an effective business.
I
It's
think
not,
we have somewhere in the back office though, like the 5-step invitation process, something like that, really basic, don't we?
I think so, but I even think that in those product guides, it's so heavily focused on how to market something. You can throw stories on your Instagram and talk about it till you're blue in the face, but if you don't know how to make that connective tissue, you know, in the conversations, in the DMs, and get somebody from point A to point B, it, you know, and I feel like a lot of probably coaches in our downline are like that right now, where they can have the conversation, but it's like, oh, what do I do if someone said it's too expensive? Or what do I do if someone gives me this objection? It's just like, I don't have those problems because the way I talk about it, you know, and it's not because your marketing is better or because you're talking about it more. It's just the flow of conversation because it's what we're used to, right? But I feel like having tangible tools and resources in there, maybe it's not program or product specifics. I don't think it needs to be. I think it's more of a general thing, right? You have your marketing tips and tools, whatever, that's great. But now how do you take that and convert it to a conversation to have somebody actually sign up?
Yeah.
Because I think that is the most helpful thing. Because if you look at the majority of the people I feel like that are coaches in Beachbody are probably what 95% women, and out of that a lot of us are stay-at-home moms, a lot of us are teachers, nurses, right? And maybe we don't have that sales background, right? We're not familiar with that, so we need something that's going to be easy and digestible, but it's also, hey, this makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. Sorry, who was talking?
That's okay. It would be great. I know someone said something in the chat about Summit, but like one of the general sessions, because everyone needs it in all different levels, and really touch upon it. Obviously, I think, you know, things are set for Summit, but that's something to think about. I mean, I know it's great to have a video in the back office as well, but just something to think about.
Has anyone circulated something on the round table or created their own thing that you've seen that is really great? That, I mean, obviously we can come up and we can create our own thing. I just wonder if you guys have seen anything like this that we could use as a model.
I think all of us coaches have our own, like, here's what to say, here's how you, and your initial invite, here's what to say next, here's the objections that you get. And I know like most of us coaches have that, and I'll send you, Diane, what I've got. But I do think to Chris's point of the Summit things, I know Diamond and Below, or whatever that first initial track is, for the CAB, we made sure that the actual conversations part was an important part of that, of just coming back to Summit, all these new coaches that haven't for the past 3 years, just getting back to that. How do we invite? How do we create those connections? How do we follow up with people? So that was like a huge part of for the CAB, was making sure that these newer coaches in the past 3 years had that basics of the business, you know, because I think that's a huge part that's missing. Yeah. But something, just to go back a little bit, something that I do with my teams, I just send them a photo of 3 options. They have the packs of the Go and Glow, Shakeology, Performance, and then they can do add-ons. And then I have like the different add-on prices at the bottom. So what I send to somebody, instead of going back and forth a million times of which pack do you want? Okay, which flavor do you want? Which packet do you want? Packs, or do you want in a bag? You know, like you go back a million times with different questions. So I just have a form that they fill out, and it has all the questions in there of like, do you have bod? You don't have bod. So then it kind of like flows them to either direction. Okay, you don't have bod, here's your options and here's the prices. You get 1 of 3. Okay, you did that one. You want Shakeology, now you go to this one. Then it's here's your flavor options. Do you want to add on anything? No? Cool, then we're done. You know, so it's like a very simple process and flow, versus going back a million times, because everybody's busy. And a lot of times you just don't see the messages, or like, you know, they're like, oh, my kid's, you know, crying, now to go get my kid. And then it's like 2 weeks later, you're like, okay, like, what flavor of Shakeology do you want? You know, versus just being able to build that share cart. So.
Okay. Yeah, we did create pack finder quizzes that are sort of similar with every new launch, where it starts off by saying, do you have beach body? Do you want to feel more energized? And then it will push you towards this pack. Or do you want to feel this way? I don't know.
And we used to have a quiz too for fitness program of which fitness program you wanted to do, like based upon your goals and your desires. And it would tell you, these are the workouts that we suggest that you start with. And that was always really helpful because I could always send that to a prospect and then be like, oh, okay, like now this is the pack that you want. Cause then I'd be like, hey, you need the bands. If you're going to do that program, you're going to need the bands or the sliders or whatever. And that was always really helpful. And the nutrition ones too are really helpful too, that we have. So they're helpful. But at the end of the day, I think, especially with the newer packs that we have, where it's just very basic of here's your pack option, and then you can add on whatever. That quiz isn't really useful because most people just get the one pack.
Yeah, but what do the rest of you think about bringing back like a fitness quiz? Like, do you want to do dance, or are you interested in weightlifting? Like, would you use something like that? Because I know like Michael Neiman talks about this all the time. Like we talk about this a lot internally. We feel like we've gotten into this launch cycle where we shift everyone's attention to, okay, now everyone do job one. Okay, now everyone do gut protocol. All right, now everyone do fire and flow. And Carl is a big proponent of that, to be honest. Whereas Michael just wants us recommending all the time because we have hundreds of programs and like people have different interests. So he feels we've gotten trapped in this cycle of everyone waiting for the next launch. So like in April, people might not be selling because they know Fire and Flow is coming next month. And so he wants us to start training around, just sell what we have. You don't have to wait for the next big thing. What do you guys think about that? Or maybe you already do that.
Personally, I don't do like launch group with all new products and programs, because I think we preach this all the time, is that fitness is not a one size fits all. So my job is not to get like a massive group of 25, 35 people to do Fire and Flow. If I know somebody wants to do Fire and Flow, or we talk about it and they're like, hey, this looks great. Awesome. Let's do it. Somebody needs 20-minute workouts. Okay. Job one, or they saw me do it. They saw my transformation. But again, my job is not to just be, hey, I'm running a job one group. Everyone that's doing this group is doing job one. I do know people like that, but I think it can be helpful for your business, but I think it can also hinder your business when you're not making it super, I don't know. It's very bio individual, right? Everyone's body is going to respond differently to things. Everyone's body needs new things. Somebody may love 2B mindset, but it doesn't work for somebody else, right? So you have to just figure out what works for people. So I don't focus on program specific. I don't really love that so much, but
so you have more like a general group that might be running all the time, and you're letting people do whatever they want in that group.
I do, but when I do try and do something that is more focused, right? So I've got a gut protocol program group starting next Monday. So that's what I've been talking about and sharing about, especially within my group currently. So anybody that wants to do it, they see that and say, hey, you know what, this is a great time for me to start something new. Or if somebody is brand new and they want to get started with that. But throughout the year, I don't really ever place focus. If I do, I'll make a separate bod group for it. And so it's a little bit smaller and intimate. And then we also have a group chat, but that's only, I don't know, it's rare, maybe a couple of times a year. And that's just what's been working for me. I used to do that a lot in the past.
Okay, great. Anyone else have a thought on that?
I think we also need to look at, we're also in the relationship business. So when we talk about connecting, we have to, on a personal level, connect with our customers, and we have to figure out what they need. And I love the idea of a form. I was using it and I had success with that because then they just boom, boom, boom. And then when you make the share cart, it's what they wanted. But then I also have, can you fill out this form? And then I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and they're not filling out the form because it's one more thing that they have to do. So then I'm like, screw it. I'm going to just send the share cart with what I recommend, knowing who this particular customer is. So sometimes I say, I recommend this, and then I say, we can change any of it. So then I just send the share cart, let them look it all over, let them see the pricing and go from there. But I think it's just important that we need to engage on a personal level. And then we guide our customers from there on what we think is best. And yes, the gut protocol isn't for everybody. So then what do you recommend and where do you start people? So I think that's more on an individual basis.
Yep, agreed.
And like filling out, like where you said, oh, do you like a dance program? Do you like this program? Do you like that program? Again, it's one more thing for them to have to do, that people don't want more work. They want simple, easy. And that's our job, to make it simple and easy. So, I mean, sometimes you just have to, and sometimes I send a share cart and I put things in there and they buy it. And you're surprised that, and sometimes I hesitate with some people because then they see the price and then they're done. So it's like a fine line of whether to add those things in or not. But I also always say, don't forget to check the special offers at checkout. You can add any of those to your cart.
Okay. Do you guys ever sell the generic TSP? Just say, here's what you use just to get started. It gives you access to the whole library.
It looks like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I use that the most, is the generic one. It's more of like getting them started on one program. Then you've got to ask like a lot of other questions of like, okay, which program do you want to do and start with? And we have over 80 different workout programs or body, so to have a quiz, be like, here, take this quiz and it'll help you choose which one to start with first. I think that could be super helpful because that's what we used to have. And that's why I used to send to all my new customers, was like, awesome, you're in BOD. Like, here's a quiz to start, to figure out which program to start with first on your journey. But you'll have over 80 different workout programs to choose from.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, April, I have a question. You said a monthly video about pricing for new clients without BOD and a video for clients that have BOD could be easy to share with packaging, prices, flavors, and upselling your favorites. Would that be program specific? Like something just for Fire and Flow? We would do 2 different videos? Just trying to understand.
So
Yeah.
this is what I do for my team, and I have one for new clients that need BOD. I do go over their package options, and I add in, here's the basic. If you want to add job 1 for $20, I suggest that you get 3 bands. The workouts are great. The bands are great for on the go, things like that. So I go over the basic, the deluxe, and then I go over my favorite flavors. And then I talk about why I love, and I usually talk about collagen, hydrate, and beach bars, and if they want to add those in. So then at the end of the video, I'm like, send your coach your email, what package you want, your flavors, and I'm so excited. We can't wait to get started. So I change it every month so that it's like 5 minutes or less, and then everybody can use it, and they're not having all that back and forth, and they're not being like, where do I go for my responses and things like that. Not that like you can't figure it out for a form, but for me, that just makes it easier.
So you're basically creating the sales pitch for your coaches by filming video and giving it to them to share.
Yeah, so that's the task list at the end of the month, every month.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I want to talk about nutrition for a second. You probably know, maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we started including the 2B and Portion Fix base programs in the TSP for free. We used to sell them separately. Now we include them in the TSP. If you want to get the containers or the 2B tracker, you have to tick the box for the 30-day free trial for Body. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like adding the nutrition programs was a good thing? Or did you think, oh my God, now you've made the TSP really complicated, and I used to sell these programs separately and now I've lost the volume and commission, and why did you do this?
I would love to talk about that for a second. I love the idea that they get that with the 30 days free. I personally lead with Portion Fix, but I think it's confusing when they get To Be Mindset and Portion Fix. So maybe like a box saying, which one would you like? And as a coach, I already had that conversation with them beforehand saying, you're going to click the box for Portion Fix. But another thing is, I don't like all those lessons that they need to watch for Portion Fix. I think it's a program that can be simplified so much. I follow it and I think it's really simple. The value and the lessons are great, but it would be great to have like another area to get them started with that without having to watch all those videos. And I don't even think you get those videos anymore because they're
Yeah,
all.
we said, because we heard that feedback, because when we relaunched as Ultimate Portion Fix, there were like 30 plus videos and it was way too complicated. So then last year we did simplify it. And I think it's down to, I don't know, 12 or something. And then we created a rail. The very first rail is like the Start Here rail. So you just need to watch those. We tried to simplify it.
Yeah, I feel like it's still a lot.
I don't know if the word got out or if we did enough, but yeah, no, we did hear that. Okay.
With the GUT program, don't do that. Don't give it for free. I feel like this is such a good standalone product. And the more we give, it's like we're giving way too much value for $160. We kind of start losing that extra income, right? Because I really love the GUT program and I can sell it day in and day out. And once they do that, hey, let's move on to another workout program. But please don't give that away for free.
Yeah. I mean, we have heard it's mixed. It seems like most coaches love that we included the nutrition programs, but then there is a contingent of people like you, Jeanette, who are like, I used to sell this. Why are we giving it for free? There's so much value here. So I've heard both sides.
Yeah, we don't raise the prices of the total solution pack. They're usually at 160. Yet we keep adding more value and more value. The second thing is, are they getting an email with all these recurring fees of body and everything else? Do they get that message from Beachbody saying, hey, this is going to happen, this is how you continue, or this is how you cancel?
I don't think so. You mean like an email that you get sometimes when you're signed up with a subscription, like, hey, you're going to be billed in 3 days.
Yes, I think that's really important. Like, that's one more thing that's added to our plate to keep track of. I think that should be coming from Beachbody, because then they get all these fees and you're like, hey, it was 160 and all of a sudden I get the Shakeology and the 20. What is all this?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do. And I will say, I buy diapers on subscription from Hello Bello, and every single month they say, hey, your pack's about to ship out in 5 days. And you know what I do? I go online and I add so much to my order. So just like that honesty of like, hey, go check your order, make sure it's everything you want. And then people like me are probably going to be like, oh, I need these bars actually. Oh, wait, I also want to add this Energize. Or it might be like, you know what, this month I need to hold off, and that protects the integrity of our company versus like Jeanette said, getting those messages of like, oh my God, why am I charged this, this, and this? And then they're like, I'm so disgusted. I just want out altogether.
Yeah.
Because it just feels icky. Whereas if we did it the other way, it's just such a better, more honest vibe.
Yeah.
And you can even recommend, hey, because maybe they want to try their products and they don't know that. Say, hey, by the way, this subscription, do you know that you have collagen and then you have Energize and then you have muscle recovery? Is this something that you would like? So they're like, oh, you know what? Let's try something else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know we've discussed that internally. I think I agree with you guys. I feel like it is the right thing to do. It's honest. It shows integrity. We'll get a lot of cancellations. So there is a financial impact. And I think we just need to hold hands and be willing to absorb that. And maybe to your point, some people will be like, hey, let me add on collagen or something else. But I think the net is we will see a lot of cancellations, but that we have to stand behind our product. And
the thing is too, the email that goes out, a lot of times it goes to spam. It does not say your subscription is coming. It's like something so generic that people mostly delete. It needs to be clear because, and honestly, I have Rodiana Fields that comes every month, and she's a client of mine, and I asked her, she texts me every month, hey, your order's shipping out on the 22nd. Do you need to change anything? And I asked her, I'm like, how do you do this? Like, do you go log in to every single client and do this? She's like, no, we have an app that reminds us, and it just does it every week. So literally RNF has equipped them by providing this like renewal service that reminds them for them to send messages. And I'm just like, I'm so jealous. There is no way 9 years in the business, I'm going to be able to do this to every single client. No way. And it's just like, I usually am like, oh yeah, I need to change that. And can I add this? But just like Morgan said. So this is literally like the hill I will die on. I've had so many people be upset, be irritated, they missed it somewhere. They will refund, they will quit Beachbody altogether. So maybe you'll get cancellations, but somebody in the chat said good customer service will always win. Like this needs to be addressed. I'm sorry.
Well, I think long-term, it's like short-term versus long-term. And that's what we're all about. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Because
Sorry, Haley, when you said the email is horrid, you're referring to the email that is currently sent that is very generic and doesn't really explain what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, even when I get my emails, and I'm not very good at checking my emails, but I sometimes miss it, you know, and I feel like if I'm missing it, you know, how many people are missing it as well? And like someone said too, they only send it for Shakeology, not performance packs or Glow and Go. I just feel like they're so, I don't want to say we're being sneaky, but like it kind of feels that way. It's just kind of like it's not, our customer service is not where it needs to be. And I don't think that we have the right tools put in place for us to be able to keep track of our coaches and customers, not so much our coaches, but our customers' orders, you know, to where we don't have some system that allows us to send a text or to send a great reminder email. Any subscription that I feel like all of us are signed up for is very, very good at doing that. Sending a text, sending a direct email that's not, it's straight to the point, right? It tells you exactly what you need to hear, not so much, hey, let's beat around the bush, you know, it just doesn't, it's not right. Because I mean, I even got a text message last week. A girl messaged me on Instagram and she said, I just got charged $136 from Beachbody. What the heck is this? I canceled a couple of months ago. And I was like, I have no clue. Let me go look, I guess, you know, because she didn't cancel her Beachbody on demand subscription and didn't know it was even coming back. So I don't know. It causes some frustration, I feel like.
I hear you guys loud and clear. Thank you for sharing this. I promise I will share this up the chain because I haven't heard discussion around it recently, and I agree with you. It's important. So
honestly,
short term, can you at least provide an email that we can be sending out just to take that one thing of that on my to-do list, create this email. I usually kind of send short messages, but can you create a nice email so we can send it out to our customers?
So give them a template because you know when there's I mean, it's work for you because you would have to look up when is this person being billed again, but at least we would have a template for you. Okay.
Yeah.
I will look into that. Okay.
Even if there was a monthly, like at the beginning of the month, here are all your renewals, and we would get a list, and then that's something our assistants can do, and then send the reminder email out. I mean, until there's a better system, I don't know if that's something that you can do. You know, BOD renewals, I mean, I know you can look it up, but I think it would be good if the company could send that, because that's a lot of time and effort for us to have to do. Yeah. And I just have one more suggestion while I'm talking. I love Power Greens. I would love to see Power Greens in the special offers. I think that's a great, I've been doing Power Greens for 8 years since the Ultimate Reset came out. And I promote it, and I think it's an important product that people should be throwing in their shakes every day. So if that could go on the special offers, that'd be great.
Okay. I know the more special offers we add, it slows down the system because every time someone is ordering something, all those special offers have to load. So like the merch team is always telling us to be really tight with our special offers, but duly noted.
But even maybe, I mean, I don't know if it has to be the same all the time, but maybe even, you know, the next month, you know, a different product added in. I don't know if that's too complicated, but throwing something different in.
Okay. Okay, I will look into that. I want to talk about 4-week gut protocol for a few minutes. So we've heard a lot of great feedback from the 4-week gut protocol launch. And I guess I'm assuming maybe that you guys told me that most of you have tried or are doing or finishing the program. All right, now we're heading into Fire and Flow. are you guys going to be recommending gut protocol moving forward as a nutrition program, or are you going to go back to recommending Portion Fix or 2B? And if you are recommending it, are you recommending it to new customers or only people who have already done gut protocol with you? It's like, okay, you can continue to do gut protocol.
I can
As
just
maybe start fire and flow.
for myself, I personally feel like the people who will do the best with gut protocol and who I've seen do the best with it have some sort of idea about the containers and Portion Fix. So like I obviously started Portion Fix years ago, and I've actually over the years for my own issues, like I've had gut issues. I eliminated gluten and dairy and all these things like years ago. And I love this program for people who need to do that. But coming into it, just like if I put myself in their shoes of like they've never done anything, it's like a lot. So I personally would love people to get started with Portion Fix and like learning the system, learning the containers. Like it also just depends, I think, on the person and where they're at. And then adding on gut protocol after that, because then it's not 0 to 100. It's more of like a tweak of what they're doing. So that's just how I'm kind of looking at it. But it is kind of a case by case basis depending on the person. But for someone who's new and just coming in and like they haven't done anything and they're just getting started, I'd rather them make small changes with Portion Fix, like take one step at a time getting started versus feeling like they have to go from 0 to 100, because that's not really, I don't think, going to help them in the long run.
Okay.
I totally agree with that, because I just think it's very overwhelming for somebody to be like, all right, we're trying to live healthy and I'm just trying to make these small little changes. And it's like, no sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine, saying no to a lot of things. And for somebody that can look very restrictive if you don't understand the why and the how behind it. And that is one thing that I feel like is needed with gut protocol. I am a huge nerd, so I love reading about the gut and our body and how our brain works, all the things. And I know not everybody is like that, but I think that our other nutrition programs do a very good job of explaining how our body responds to portion control and intuitive eating, right? There's not so much, I know there's a ton of research that went into it, but I think that there needs to be more detail with gut protocol and helping people understand why your body or why taking care of your gut is so important, and how removing those things, right? Why sugar, or what sugar does to your body, what alcohol can do to your body. I just feel like there's not enough of that. So for me, like for our gut protocol group, we're going through and actually reading the Mind Gut Connection book so that people have another source of credibility with what Autumn is saying. So that stuff is amazing. But I do think that as far as plugging somebody in with a nutrition plan, I think that starting them on Portion Fix or 2B mindset is what I'll be doing moving forward, and then doing a more group specific for gut protocol for those who want to go into that depth, because I think that there's a lot that needs to go into gut protocol. Like it is very intense. There's a lot of planning that needs to be done, right? If you don't plan, your week is going to look really hard. It's going to be a daunting program for you to go through.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with the gut protocol. My girls are doing amazing. Like I have seen energy on my team from my coaches and my clients that I have not seen in a really, really long time. A lot of them are finishing up last week and this week, and they don't want to go back to anything. But one of the biggest things I'm seeing is people who are brand new, they need something that explains how to use the containers. But what I'm seeing from people who are more into it and have at least some nutrition experience and knowledge, they're left kind of feeling like something's missing. They're like, they get the package and they watch the videos and they're like, this is it. And they want more of like the science behind it. They want to know why. And it doesn't need to be like a full medical journal about it, but they just kind of feel like the program is missing like the meat of the program and the bulk of it.
Interesting.
You mean like, what is gluten? To me, I'm like, I don't know.
And that.
How do I see that on an ingredient label? I mean, to me, and I know Diane, you've seen all of it in the cab, but like there's so much information missing of reading labels and just how to find these things, because they are renamed as other things. So you might not know what you're actually eating if it's in like your soy sauce or salad dressings or whatever, they might have gluten in there and you just have no idea because it's labeled as something else. Also with artificial sugars, just like other names of artificial sugars, what they are, how they're hidden into things. If it says no sugar on the label, chances are if it's no or low sugar, chances are there's artificial sugars in there and you need to look at that. I just think that, like, I totally agree. There's so much more education base for the novice nutritionist of it all. And even just of the container basis of like, how do I put the containers together? And I think that's where the meal plans really helped out was, okay, if I'm on this meal plan and this, bracket, I know this is how I'm going to put the containers together for my meals, but there's just something kind of missing in that of like, if you're brand new to it, it's very overwhelming. And I'm a 2B person, so I recommend 2B for everything, just because that ultimate like food freedom for me, containers, it just brings me back to like, I can't have this. This is what I can't have. Then I'm constantly thinking about food because I only have an orange and a blue left. What the heck am I going to eat? And it just brings like too much dieting mentality to me. So I'm a 2B person all the way. And that's what I recommend for everybody.
Yeah.
Would there be a potential in the future that we would have gut protocol added to that nutrition quiz? So for somebody who did want to do it, because that nutrition quiz is great. I love having my clients go through that. We actually do that on our first call. And I just say, hey, go through this quiz really quickly. I think it's super helpful. So if there is somebody who says, there could be a question that says, do you struggle with inflammation, bloat? Are you looking to do X, Y, and Z? I think that could be really helpful. It's right on the nutrition tab, April. It's great. It literally asks like 6 or 7 questions and it's super helpful.
Yeah.
I'll type the URL in. It's findmyprogramtool.com. Findmyprogramtool.com. And yeah, when we launched Gut Protocol, we actually talked to Carl, like, should we update this quiz to include Gut Protocol? And at the time, he didn't want to do it because you get to be in portion tricks with your TSP, and those are sort of our basic programs. And he's like, I don't want to start, because at one point we talked about adding a question, are you pregnant? And that would lead you to be pregnant. And he didn't want to go there, but maybe we need to revisit it because we did create a separate gut health quiz. Did you guys know that? It asks you 10 questions about your gut health. Oh my God, what is the URL for that? I have no idea. Shoot, it's a really good quiz too.
Diane, I'm not familiar with that quiz. Where is that quiz?
There's a URL. Maybe it's checkmyguthealth.com. No, shoot, I'll find the URL. This is terrible that I don't even know it. And I'll email it to Wendy and she can share it with you guys.
So quick question about gut protocol. I had a call last night and someone was saying, I'm not sure where it came from, that I know everyone's having great success, but they're saying that you should only do gut protocol twice a year. So, and that people want to continue because they're having good results. Is that true? Or is it more?
You can continue.
You can continue. I mean, obviously, if I don't want to add gluten or dairy, I'm not gonna, that's your choice. I mean, I think it's more about, what about the supplement? Obviously, we don't have them, but continuing the supplements, should they be continued long-term? Are you taking Optimize still 3 times a day? I mean, I've been taking Optimize once in the morning, two since the Ultimate Reset came out. So what would I just go back to that? So just maybe some more information on that. And then this drives me crazy. Okay, we have all these great trackers that came in all of the TSPs. This is the most important program to have a tracker, so we don't have to do this. And they're saying they're getting a tracker for fiber and flow. For what? Will you give this to us for gut, please? The daily tracker, so we can. I'm copying on 2 sides of paper. So, and I'm a paper person. So, just a suggestion.
We have heard that feedback that people want a printed journal or tracker. So I will bring that.
I think you can even charge for it. Like add that as like a extra. Like I would recommend it to all of my people. I would earn commission and volume on all of that. And then I wouldn't, again, I have I pay $25 to go bind it at staples because I too am a paper person. But I agree. Of all the books, that's probably the most important one. You actually physically need to have a book in your hand.
And then have like the meal plan printed, the food list print, like everything printed, including the recipes.
I think you can go two ways with it. The tracker to me is separate. Like there's the program info, which I think once you read it a couple times, you're good. The food lists were helpful to reference back to. I didn't go back to like, I mean, I can do my food calculation once and know what bracket I'm in. I don't need that printed in a book. But some of the things like the food list, I kept going back to what's a red A and B and yellow A and B, things that were different. But I mean, I still have people that buy a 2B book because they're great to have and they'll pay for them. Some of them have to be included. Please don't include it. Let people buy it. But I think that it's a valuable tool.
Will they make the 2B tracker, will they make that in a spiral bound? Because I think that's the biggest complaint with these books is that they're not spiral bound. So like when you're trying to like use them, it's very difficult. So everybody just goes and pays to get it spiral bound. And I think even if we had the gut protocol, just like the 2B book, where it has your food lists in the back, is always super helpful. And like you do a 1-pager of the bracket calculations and whatever bracket you're in, you can easily add that into the front of the book and then all the food lists or whatever in there. But that would be super helpful.
Yeah, okay, let me bring that up, see if it's something we can sell separately. Spiral bound is really expensive. That's come up before. We can look into it, but for example, we're running out of the Fixate 2 cookbook right now, so I need to reorder it, and it's like $8 just to print that. It's just, the spiral bound is expensive, but let's look into it.
Can I be devil's advocate about adding more information to the gut program? Going back to the ultimate portion fix. People are like, do I have to look at all these videos?
I know, I was thinking that too. I'm like, we want all this information added, but then it becomes overwhelming when there are too many videos. But maybe it's like a pamphlet or something. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe
So I love telling people in 30 minutes, you know how to do this program. So that's great for my client that's overly busy, but why not build a challenge guide where you're digging deep with graphics about gut control? Now you get us to want to use those guides. You're educating in bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can add it to the group guide. But yeah, I agree. Not more videos. Maybe just, yeah.
I think even in a group guide, if you're having a customer lead or something come in with gut protocol, you want them to be able to do the program and understand it from the bat without the need of the help of a coach. And without that coach having to actually schedule all the posts and everything else from the group guides. So for me, even if just you had like, okay, here's your main track. Now here's more in-depth details, kind of like Ultimate Portion Fix, where it's like, here's your main track, but then here's the other things that are more in-depth or more helpful of like how to read labels. And, for me, I had so many questions with gut protocol of like, what's what, and how do I do this? And how do I even figure out what's a sensitive food for me? Like, I just didn't understand any of it. And even I went through the entire 4 weeks, I didn't understand any of it.
Really? That's interesting.
What if there was like an additional video series where it's like a Q&A? Like I remember after like 2 years after 21 Day Fix, when Autumn listed like what bar is safe. Do I really have to count almond milk as a yellow, or can I count it as nothing since it's 15 calories? So like something had came out before we revamped it where she answered Q&As. So what if for people who don't want new videos and it's not there, but people who do want more videos, like Autumn needs to film like a 3-minute video, like what is a fermented food? Because I didn't know what it was. And I've been doing this for a long time. And I didn't understand like a lot of the questions people would ask me. I'm like, I don't know. And to be honest, I don't even know where to go to get things. So other than our chat, if somebody in our chat didn't have the answer, I didn't have an answer because there was no resource.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've got like tons of questions. I don't know where they're compiled, but if Autumn could make like 2 to 3 minute videos that say, and then when you want to look at it, there's the topic. What is a fermented food? How do I find what a sensitive food is? That they're quick and easy to give to our people, because I was clueless for a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been inundated with questions, as you can imagine. And there's so many questions, and that it is a problem because we don't have a community. Like there's a Portion Fix community and a 2B community. So we are actually creating this week a Facebook group for gut protocol. But it's not going to be an open community because it's just going to be a place for people to post their questions. And then the admins are going to come in and answer the questions. And then a couple times a month, Autumn will come in and film a video. So look for, that will be, and no, it won't be an open community, April, exactly, for exactly that reason, because too many people start answering and sometimes they give wrong information and then they start asking, why is Shakeology so expensive? And then it just sort of spirals out of control.
And I know, I think Autumn did a lot on her IG, which is great, but like if you miss it, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Like people would ask me questions about the recipe she shared and how to count it. And I'm like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So I think Autumn might even have some of these. And I don't even know, maybe if she wants it on her page, she can take stories out, and maybe she did, I don't know. But like there's a highlight where it says frequently asked questions from Gut Protocol. Cause I feel like she's answered probably a lot of them, or she answers them in like a comment of a post, but no one's going through 400 comments on her recipe to find out how she counted this and that recipe. So like those types of things that like I think we've gotten time with Portion Fix. We're just so, and then we were used to them. Where now we have another new one where we don't have all the answers.
Maybe in the actual gut program is do an FAQ with the most commonly asked questions.
Yes.
All listed in there would be helpful.
So we've just done that. We've created like a PDF with frequently asked questions. It's going through legal and translations now, and we will post that. So we'll have the Facebook group that's closed, that only the admins can answer questions, and then we'll have the PDF. So hopefully that'll be a good starting point. Speaking of open communities, can we please turn on admin approvals for, they get so toxic. Admin approvals, meaning admins have to approve every single post.
Those groups are horrible. Every single day, like there was somebody that was messaging people and starting fights the other day. Like it's nonstop. And like in the VIP group, people are constantly sharing screenshots, asking for posts to get shut down. Like they need admin approval because I would never put a customer in there. And there's some really great information, but I don't want to expose them to everything else.
Okay. All right.
Because right now it's open and it's just a free for all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I know we're at time. I see Whitney had to drop off. Thank you so much for your feedback, you guys. I love talking to you and hearing directly from you. It's really incredibly helpful. Yeah, happy to listen anytime. Wendy, I'm happy to jump on these calls, every quarter or so we can talk. And yeah. I guess that's it.
Absolutely. I think the most important thing is we are listening to you. We hear your feedback. So we will take this information. I mean, Diane is really good about taking this information back to Carl, back to the executives to figure out how we can make it easier for you and your teams to sell the total solution pack. So know that this does not go on deaf ears, I think is my point. So we will absolutely go ahead, Diane.
I can't promise that all these things will get addressed, but I will try.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, but it's because of you and your help and us listening to your feedback. So, all right, everyone, super appreciate you. Have an amazing week. Congrats on the super weekend last weekend. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.